through this one. We don't know, do we? We don't know. But we can bet one thing. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Omar Matins out there waiting for the right time, the right day, the right execution, and it will be done. It will be done. And I don't say that to put any kind of fear in you or any kind of dismay at all. I say that because you need to understand that dose of reality in today's world. This is where we are, peeps, and this is why the Bible, the Word of God, that ancient Word, that same Word that prophesied all the events that were going to happen from the time of Daniel, even before that, it was prophesied. All these things that have come to pass with every single thing happening the way it should have, the way God spelled it out through His messengers. Isn't it just fascinating? If you've ever studied it, is absolutely fascinating, the kind of God that we serve. But, so we know that these things are going to happen, and it's not taking away anything from our trust in God, that we just, we know it's going to play out. And so, okay. But you know what, guys? Our kids are not that mature in the Lord yet. We can tell our kids to trust and that everything's going to be all right. But you know what? They will be fearful if it ever should happen near them. They will be fearful. And I believe that it will. I'm just saying that I believe it will. And so, we can bet that the worst is yet to come, and we're going to be challenged at some point. And it may be right here in the Kentuckiana area. Who knows? Who knows? I'll tell you who does, God. But, don't you want to be prepared? I do. And like I said, the ancient word that tells us that, we need to be prepared at all times, because like a thief in the night, Jesus Christ is going to come back. Well, I like that kind of preparedness too. And we do need to be prepared, but, we need to be preparing our kids for that as well, because, none of us know how long we have, do we? But I can tell you, these folks in Orlando didn't think that their party was going to be over for good that night. And neither did their family members. And so, again, not to, put any kind of fear or dismay in you. That's not what I'm trying to do. I always want to inform, educate, and prepare you. And so that is why I've brought to the table today Tom Gagliano, and he is going to talk to us about how that looks. And then you will have to be the judge of whether or not you present it to your kids and your teens, okay? I just want to bring it to you and then let you just wrestle with it in your own heart. But you can't say that you didn't hear it right here on Just Ask Joyce, right? That's my responsibility, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, let me just say this. You still have time to join us for our party at Huber's this weekend to celebrate WFIA and the great messages that come across these airwaves. Just like what you're going to hear in just a few minutes. This is why it's so important, guys, that an entity, a corporation like Salem can be strong in your community. This is why. Because you want to be prepared, don't you? And, for 50 years, we've been bringing the same message of Jesus Christ that does not change throughout the ages. But we have been bringing it to you, and I believe that we have some of the strongest programming of any. I drive all over the United States all the time. I'm either speaking or I'm visiting family or just whatever I'm doing. But I drive and I listen to other stations. And I can tell you this radio station is just amazing. It is amazing. It brings you some of the greatest programming that you can find anywhere in the United States, and I've been in some of the biggest cities. This one, and it's been going on for 50 years. Would love to have you come out and celebrate with us at Huber's this weekend. The number that you must call for reservations, 812-923-5255. 923-5255. Gary's so proud of me that I memorized it on the last day. And you should be too. And so I'm hoping you're dialing that number right now, 923-5255. 5255. Remember, it's in Indiana side. I'm going to bring you over to my side of town. You're going to love it over there. Don't go away. When we come back, we're going to talk about kids and terrorism and what we say.
WFIA, The Spirit.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $28 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-509-1667. That's 1-800-509-1667. 1-800-509-1667. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
When you're a kid, monsters live under your bed. When you're a grown-up, monsters come in the mail. You know, bills. But by refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans, you could save hundreds of dollars each month. Money you can use to shrink those monstrous bills down to a size that's not nearly as scary. To learn how, call 800-QUICKEN today or visit us online at QuickenLoans.com. Here's one more thing that can help put your mind at ease. For 6 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call us at 800-QUICKEN and buy in. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power. Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Focus. You need it to run a business, so don't let legal questions distract you. Use LegalZoom instead. Things like lease agreements and employment laws get complicated, but they're part of running a business. That's why LegalZoom built a network of independent attorneys in 48 states. You can rely on them for the legal details without paying by the hour, since LegalZoom isn't a law firm. So focus on growing your business and use LegalZoom for the legal stuff. LegalZoom. Legal help is here.
The LA Times says Kentucky Kingdom's newest coaster, Storm Chaser, is a contender for the best coaster of the year, and USA Today calls it one of the most anticipated coasters of the year. Let's hear what the theme park engineering and design students from Purdue University have to say.
I'm so out of breath right now.
Fantastic. I'm giving 12 out of 10. 10. Fantastic.
Unbelievable. Incredible. It was so good. That first drop is amazing.
Storm Chaser, only at Kentucky Kingdom and Hurricane Bay. KentuckyKingdom.com for special offers.
You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, right now, we don't have Tom Gagliano on the line, so hopefully he'll call in soon. But I will tell you some of the tips that he told us, just in case he doesn't call. And then you call in 571-2428, and you talk about what you feel about this, all right? Because Tom says, don't assume that your child feels the same way that you do. Now, how does that feel? What do you feel like? Do you feel like, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about this? Or do you feel like, okay, I'm kind of a little undone, But, we typically try and keep things, between the lines in our mature life, our adult life, don't we? And so because we have daily functions to do. I mean, if we were coming undone all the time over these things, we wouldn't be able to go to work. We wouldn't be able to provide for our kids. We wouldn't be able to carry on in our daily routine. But he says with limited life experience, your child does not have the experience or tools to process and to understand the why or how of terroristic activity and motivation the way you do. Now, we understand, he's saying, I'm assuming that, he's saying that we understand that there is hatred in this world. We understand that people have evil agendas in this world, but your child doesn't think in that way, or prayerfully they don't. I know that many of them stay glued to those video machines all the time, the devices, and they're playing those, shoot 'em up videos. But it's a child's game. They're not thinking in that same concept. They don't understand the reality and the finality of that at all. And I would just tell you that, we think we understand the finality of death. We understand that, there is evil that looms in the world and that there are evil people that have an agenda. And right now, if anyone in America doesn't understand that, there's a problem with, this, Muslim group, the jihadists, the radical Muslim terrorists that are after us, then, there's a problem with you. You've got your proverbial head in the sand, or you're not listening to the news. And so I believe that we are all keenly aware of that. And we have Tom on the line. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today, buddy.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I love having you back on the show. You were so insightful the first time around, and we said we were going to get you back, and here we are. But unfortunately, we have a different kind of topic to bring for our listening audience today. And on the heels of Orlando, though, how timely this is. It's brewing, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it's tough times. It's times that we're greatly affected by adults, but I think that we have to take a little peek in and be curious with our children, because the truth is, we see the world the way our children see the world, the way they see the world, and sometimes it's not always the same way we think. So we got to be a little curious with our kids. We got to talk to them and ask them, how are they feeling about what they're hearing about terrorism? Are they afraid? What are those feelings? Because I really believe that when we assume that our kids feel the same way we do, we could be making a mistake.
Well, then why? Once we ask them that it is a probing question, and sometimes they're going to know how to respond, sometimes they might not. But I believe that there are parents that are talking to their kids, and so that some of these their peers are going to be feeding them some information, and they may have some internal fears that they have not brought to surface. So then when they do start spilling forth these questions, how are we to respond to that?
Well, first of all, we have to be congruent to our children, and we have to be honest with them. If we're scared and we're changing our life and lifestyles, and we're not doing certain things because we are in fear mode, we can't tell our children, don't be afraid, because we're not saying what we feel and feeling what we say, and they're going to pick that up. Kids are like sponges. So we have to be honest with our children. I mean, if you are afraid, if you have those fears in you, tell your child that, because they're going to know it anyway. They're going to sense it anyway. Mm-hmm. But as far as what your children are saying, let them share their feelings. And remember, feelings are not right and wrong. They're not true and false.
Right.
They're feelings. And validate those feelings. Say, I understand how you feel. I hear how you feel. Don't tell them you shouldn't feel that way, or that's silly, or don't worry. You just got to be honest with them. But also, give them a little gratitude and encourage them, and tell them, we have police that help us, doctors, we have teachers that help us. We have a lot of people out there that are doing the best to keep us safe, but still be a little mindful of your surroundings and what's going on. So you could talk to your children a little bit in that way, so that you're not just scaring them, but also creating gratitude. We're in America. We now nothing's 100%, but we are safer in America than anywhere else. We do have a lot of protection here. Not that it can't happen, but it's still a little bit of gratitude in them, too.
Sure. Should we go as far, Tom, as to give them a plan of action? Like, if something does happen, I want you to do this.
Well, I think you can give them a plan of action, but you just have to be a little careful that with that plan, you're not instilling a lot of fears inside of them. You could talk to them about the plan, that if something should happen, listen to your teacher, or go to a certain the nearest police officer, or whatever plan you want to instill with your child. But just be mindful and make sure that you're saying that in a very confident way. You're not telling them that shaking like a leaf, because, again, children, it's not always what we say sometimes. It's what we don't say that our children pick up. And I tell parents this all the time. Your children are little market researchers at a young age. You're the world, and they pick up those feelings that you have. If you're having a fight with your husband or your wife and you tell your child, don't worry, everything's okay, well, you know what? You're not being congruent, because they can sense it. They know it. So they have to be able to trust what you say is truth.
And then I think it's really important, Tom, that once we say, and again, you hit the nail on the head, kids you don't fool kids. I mean, you can try if you want to, but they are so perceptive. And so if you're going to say one thing, then you've got to do that thing, right? I think that sends a really confusing message to a child.
Absolutely. It's like everything else in life. I can't text all day and tell my son or daughter, you're always texting. I can't smoke like a chimney and tell my children you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. It's modeling the right behavior for your children, as well as modeling behavior that, if you need help, you ask for help. It's okay to ask other people for help when you need it. All of this stuff is modeling, because at the end of the day, our childhood messages will impact every part of our child's life, to the intimacy they have, to their parenting skills, to the careers we choose. So, I think parents have to be really, really cognizant of that fact, how powerful they are in their child's growth behavior. And I think sometimes as parents, when we look back on our childhood, we forget about that. We forget that before all our transitions and maturity and the things we went through, that our parents really showed us how to view the world and how the world views us. They're very powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to be going to a break in a moment. You may not get to cover all of this, but I believe that we need to consider, because most families have these graduated ages of children. It's not that all of them are toddlers, and so you can't. I mean, at some stage you might, have all toddlers, but at some point you might have a third grader, an eighth grader, and a junior. Right. And so, you can kind of dispense different information to different children. It shouldn't be maybe sitting them down on the couch and saying, okay, here's the big deal, because it's going to be too much for the third grader to absorb, or either too little for the junior to comprehend, and it's going to be elementary for them. When we come back, can you deal with that for us, Tom?
Absolutely.
About how we, how much we dispense at what age appropriate level? We'll be back. There's more on Just Ask Joyce today. Don't go away.
WFIA, The Spirit.
My name's Danielle, and I've gone to Christian Academy since kindergarten, but now I'm a senior. There's so many different things you can do. The academics are top-notch. There's great sports programs all around. I also participate in the drama program. I think I'll have a great advantage going into college. And the mission program at Cal, it's different than so many other schools. I went with a team of about 20 around La Paz, Honduras. We took medicine. We had a medicine drive at school. For some of these people, this is a once-a-year thing. The Hondurans didn't have really anything by, I guess, America's standards, yet they seemed to me to have everything because they were so loving and they had Christ. It was just a really awesome experience because it was just so humbling, I think. If this sounds right for your family, check out Christian Academy's website or call and schedule a tour. Can't imagine what life would be without Christian Academy.
The real estate market is hot right now. Are you thinking of buying or selling your home in this market? Do you have any questions about preparing your home to sell? Are you even thinking about real estate investing? Do you have questions about financing a piece of property, or should you refinance your current home? Let me assist you in all of your real estate needs. Hire the hardest working real estate agent you'll ever meet, Elizabeth Monarch with Keller Williams Louisville. When the time comes to making that important decision of buying or selling your home, call me. I want to be your realtor. Search for all homes at ElizabethMonarchGroup.com. Like me on Facebook. That's Elizabeth Monarch with Keller Williams Louisville at 502-551-1286. ElizabethMonarchGroup.com, the hardest working real estate agent you'll ever meet.
Imagine a vacation specifically designed for your spiritual growth and enrichment, along with 5-star accommodations, beautiful scenery, historic sites, and a community of people committed to you having a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Join us this fall on a 15-day all-inclusive Mediterranean cruise with Pastor Alistair Begg and visit thrilling stops in Naples, Jerusalem, Rome, and more. It's the Footsteps of the Apostles Mediterranean Cruise. Come and experience sites like the Sistine Chapel, the historic Western Wall in Jerusalem, and the beauty of the Isle of Santorini, all during one trip with like-minded travelers. Register today to sail the pristine Mediterranean waters in luxurious accommodations and follow in the footsteps of the apostles to Athens and Ephesus. With special guests and resident teaching Pastor Alistair Begg, this cruise is sure to be inspiring and refreshing. The Footsteps of the Apostles Mediterranean Cruise is happening September 22nd to October 9th. To register, visit footstepsoftheapostles.com. That's footstepsoftheapostles.com.
This is it, the year you build a home of your dreams. And you have lots of ideas, but most builders are pretty locked into their own designs. Well, now your ideas can become reality with Better by Design, already trusted by over 140 builders.
Well, I'm Mark Warner from Palmyra, Indiana. I'm a residential building contractor. I'm going to continue to use Better by Design because he does a great job. He's very easy to work with, very accessible. A lot of people draw house plans, but they don't understand the mechanics of putting everything together. Bob understands that.
Great homes don't happen by chance. They're planned. Do yourself a big favor and visit Better by Design online at bbd-plans.com right now and talk to owner Bob Leonard. He'll take the time to walk you through the process of putting your specific ideas into real usable plans for your new custom home or business. Better by Design. Log on now, bbd-plans.com.
You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Tom Gagliano, our very special guest today, and he is a parenting and relationship expert, as I outlined to you earlier. If you have missed any of this broadcast today, you should go back and listen to it on podcast, WFIAFM.com. Because Tom has already given wonderful tips about how should you talk to your kids and your teens about terrorism, and he agrees. You know, it's probably time that we need to have that conversation. But Tom, when we left, we were talking about age-appropriate conversation is equally as important. So, you know, how should that look, and maybe how far should we go with the different ages?
That's a great question, and I think it depends on the child, not just the age.